Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana, and we're here today with special guest, Laura Leigh Morris, who's here to share with us her new novel, The Stonecatchers. Join us for this powerful discussion of what it means to be labeled a hero in the wake of unimaginable loss. Laura Leigh Morris is an author and she teaches creative writing and literature at Furman University. Before that, she spent 3 years as the National Endowment for the Arts Bureau of Prisons Artist in Residence at Bryan Federal Prison Camp in Bryan, Texas. She's published short fiction in Story Magazine, North American Review, Open Space, Laurel Review, and many other journals. So welcome to the show, Laura Leigh Morris.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, Marianne.
Well, what an inspiration it is just to have you here and to talk about this new book. So I have to ask, what even inspired you to write this?
So when I first started at my current job, which is at Furman University, during that first year, we had active shooter training, which felt very weird. So it was the English department and the modern languages department worked together in a room with campus police. And they were just telling us, what to do if an active shooter came to campus or if we saw one in our hallway. And they started with what not to do. So they said the old idea was that you would turn your lights off and you would hide. So they actually had us do this. They asked for volunteers in the room. So we turned off the light. We hid in the room, and an officer with an airsoft gun came in and shot us all with plastic pellets. And then they turned the lights on and they said, "Look, you were sitting ducks," which just felt horrible. So they taught us what they wanted us to do now, what the training says. And they say, first you run from the room. If you can't run from the room, you barricade the door. And then you prepare for somebody to come in. So if the shooter breaks through your barricade, the idea is that you throw anything you have at them. Laptops, books, cell phones, staplers, whatever you have, you throw. And I remember the officer said it's really difficult to throw or to shoot a gun when things are flying at your head, which sounded very fair. But he also said before this ever happens, what you should do is you should ask for volunteers in your classroom, and each person should volunteer for a body part. So you need 5 volunteers, one for the shooter's legs. Well, 2 for the shooter's legs, 2 for the shooter's arms, and 1 for their head. And if the shooter breaks through that barricade, you run at them, and whatever body part you've volunteered for, you grab onto it. And they mentioned sticking thumbs in shooters' eyes, which just sounded horrifying in every way whatsoever. But of course, you're fighting for your life at that point. So I did this training. We were all a little shocked afterward, a little bit, felt a little brutalized, but also glad to have the information. And a couple of nights later, I woke up from a sound sleep, and I had this image in my mind of a professor and some students actually attacking the shooter. And I thought, what if they accidentally, in an attempt to disarm him, kill him? What happens then? And that is, I ran in the other room, the middle of the night, grabbed one piece of notebook paper, wrote some notes on a piece of paper that I still have somewhere around the house. And that became the opening of The Stonecatchers, this woman and her 3 students who accidentally kill the shooter. And the question was, how do you live with yourself after that?
It's unfortunate that we're even having to be in an era where we have to talk about these things.
Oh, yeah.
But they need discussion because it's happening. There's nothing we can do, it seems, at this point to try to diminish this. So I'm assuming that just being educated, like you're saying, and knowing what to do, hey, that's great. At what point did you decide, okay, this is something that we need to really look into because that could happen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it could definitely happen. And it does happen is the thing. I mean, this is people, I mean, mass shootings happen every day. There was a case, and I am blanking on the details of it. There was a case in North Carolina where somebody killed killed the shooter, and everybody cheered for them, and it was this, yay, this great person did this good deed. But then the news cut off. Like, it's a couple days, the news cuts off, and what I was asking, what I really was left with is what happens after the cameras go away? Because there is something about, yes, we did a good deed, but even after, and some people are going to call those people heroes, but after the cameras leave, after people are done patting you on the back, you still have to just deal with the fact that you've killed somebody. And while some people are trained to do this in their lines of work, it's still traumatizing for them. And if this isn't anything you ever expected to have to do, how do you make sense of that in your own life? So that was kind of where my brain was going, where my mind was going. And I'm not sure we've ever seen anybody ask that question. It feels like the news cycle stops at about 4 days after an event.
I wonder about the mental health of the people who are not trained to do this. I
Yes.
mean, especially if we're asking students to volunteer, we're really asking them to volunteer for something that may end their life.
Yes, and in my own classroom, so I teach in the main building at Furman University, or the original building. It's called Furman Hall, and I always teach small writing classes. Our writing classes are capped at 12, so we have these classrooms that are just inside the front door of the building, and none of them have windows, so there is no running away. And if somebody comes in the main door, we would be those people. And I used to have the talk with them every semester at the beginning of the semester about what do we do and does anyone want to volunteer? And I haven't done it in recent years. And the last time I did it, a student actually, like, the students were happy to have the conversation, but then suddenly one of them looked at me and they said, but we probably won't live through this. And I said, that's right. Not everybody will live through this. We're not looking to save our own lives. We're looking to save the lives of the people in the next classroom. And that student started crying. And I totally understood it. It is a terrifying proposition to think, if this happens, even if I do everything I'm supposed to do, there's a very good chance I won't survive it.
Wow. That's just heartbreaking. That's really just heartbreaking.
It is.
So, with the Stonecatchers, where is that set?
It is set in small town of Brickton, West Virginia. I am originally from North Central West Virginia. It is a former coal town that I'm from. It's a small town of Mannington. I'm from a former coal town that it doesn't have much industry now. It's become a fracking center. And just the other day, I was listening to an interview with Ann Pancake, and she called West Virginia both post-coal and post-industrial. And I would say that Brickton, West Virginia is made up of this post-coal, post-industrial place where nobody's quite sure what what's going to economically feed the town. And so we're in a small community college there, and the community college is made up of a lot of former miners who are trying to figure out what's next for them at the same time that the fracking boom's happening. So it's very Appalachian, very small town, and very much like my own home state, and with the people facing a lot of the economic turmoil that I think all of that state is facing right now.
Well, on that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break. We've been speaking with Laura Leigh Morris in regards to her new novel, The Stonecatchers. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Are you an author, speaker, or expert who is looking for more publicity? Visit radioguestlist.com and sign up for free interview requests from shows looking for guests. Radio Guest List is the #1 free booking resource for radio, podcasts, and TV talk shows who are looking for experts like you right now. Visit radioguestlist.com and sign up today to get the visibility you deserve.
There comes a moment when you realize you're somewhere special, when you discover that each beautiful creature that you see has been rescued from a life of absolute horror and brought to this incredibly free place. Here is where their lives were forever changed and where yours will as well. Discover over 500 tigers, bears, and lions at the brand new visitor center at the Wild Animal Sanctuary just outside Denver. For more information, visit wildanimalsanctuary.org. Discover true freedom at the Wild Animal Sanctuary.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
I'd like to thank Jason Eastwood at Guitarfulness for sharing his inspiring music and talent with us. His music is known worldwide for cultivating atmospheres of harmony, inner peace, and clarity. Visit Jason's website at guitarfulness.com. Join his newsletter, be part of his community, and download his music. Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. We're here today with special guest Laura Leigh Morris, who's sharing with us her new novel, The Stonecatchers. How did you develop the characters for Stonecatchers?
Oh, that's a great question. I really thought about who are the people who are going to end up in this place. I had to think about who are my characters who are going to end up actually killing the shooter. And I thought about the professor would step up. I wanted to think that the professor would step up. And I think she was never me. She's still not me. In fact, she's younger than me. She's in her late 30s. But I thought that a woman who had kind of fallen into teaching would be a part of that. And I kept thinking about what is her connection to each of her students? Who are the students in here? Where I teach now is mainly a traditional university where the students are of a traditional age, of traditional backgrounds. It's a small liberal arts college, but I thought, who is going to the community college in West Virginia? And I thought, grown people, if the community college is about, it has a lot of former coal miners, at least one former coal miner is going to be there. So Donetta Freeman is my professor character. And then one of her students' names is Miller James. He is a former coal miner who is just looking for what's next. I think, as I say at the beginning of the book, he's not trying, like the people here aren't trying to change the world. They're just trying to change their own worlds. And that's what he's trying to do. He's a divorced father, trying to keep up with his bills, trying to take care of his daughter. And he's in this class with just some hope. And then I have some young people there. So Charlie Folger is a student who he just went after high school trying to figure out what's next in his life. And then there's Priscilla Silver, another young person who is a single mother, who's trying to figure out how can she raise her daughter the best way possible. So I was thinking about them. And then I also thought about who's my shooter. So the shooter never shows up in real time in the book beyond in the first chapter. But I thought, who is a school shooter? And often it is young white men. So Wayne Buckley is my shooter. And I thought, what connection does he have with these people? And he actually was a member of the classroom. So the 4 people who end up killing him are also 4 people who were learning with him and teaching him. And this is a question that goes through the whole book, like, why him? Why was he coming to this classroom? Why did we have to kill somebody we knew? And also, how did we not see that he was a killer? How did we not see that that was what might happen?
I mean, how do you approach writing such a sensitive and traumatic topic?
I started with story. So I started with just what is the story here, trying to get at the into the minds of the people without making this a gory story. I don't want this to be a gory story. I don't want it to be a bloody story. And But I also want to treat these people like people. And I think that's, for me, the biggest thing is, who are these people as people and how do they live their lives? Um, Even Wayne Buckley, the shooter, and his mother, who's in the book, Edna Buckley, I wanted to think, who are they as people, not just as a shooter or as a victim or as a mother of a shooter, but who are each of these people as more than that, more than just what their stereotypes are. So I really dove into thinking about the individual people and why that matters. And I also after I'd written the first draft, the first couple drafts of the book, I then did a lot of reading. I read Dave Cullen's books, Columbine and also Parkland, where he's really thinking about what causes school shootings and what happens to these people afterward, and how does the town think about it. I listened to and read so many news articles. NPR had this great article about what happens to the trinkets that are left at shooting sites afterwards. So people put flowers, they put letters, they put cards, they put stuffed animals, and what happens to those afterwards. So I just tried to gain as wide a view as I could about the subject. I did not reach out to people who have survived school shootings. I did not want to re-traumatize. So this very much is my imagining of the people and doing as much research as I could and trying just to treat everybody like fully rounded humans, and not to create a spectacle of the shooting itself, but instead to think about, the news sometimes can create a spectacle of it, but how do we get behind that? How do we get into the people who exist there? And I even kept with some of the news creating more of, so some of the local media really diving into and talking to these people even months later to figure out how they dealt with it.
Is that how you balance that portrayal of individual trauma with collective grief of the community?
I think so. I mean, I try to show the collective grief, but I really, really zoomed in on these individuals. So we see the collective grief um, through the news, through some of those vigils that are taking place outside of the university or outside of the college campus immediately afterward, and even the memorial that the school holds for the shooting. But what I really tried to do was zoom in on these people and hope that through these four different people who are very, very different sorts of people, that would create a more well-rounded, larger view of what the community as a whole is going through.
What would you like our listeners and readers to take away from the Stonecatchers?
I think what I'd like them to take away is that that if you go through something like this, you walk away changed. There is no way to walk away the same person. I also want people to think that it isn't the end. So while it is a dark book in a lot of ways. I'm hoping that readers have some hope for them, have some hope for our society at the end, that you can go through something like this and walk out the other side. And while your life is never going to be the same, it's a different life that can still have some really bright spots to it.
Well, Laura, where can our listeners and readers learn more about your work and be part of your community?
Well, anyone can follow me on social media. I am at uh, Laura Leigh Wright on Twitter and on Instagram. And my website is lauraleigh.morris.com. And I spell Lee, Leigh. So it's lauraleigh.morris.com. And you can find all sorts of information about the Stonecatchers, about new publications, and also some readings I'll be doing around the East Coast.
Well, Laura, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you so much, Marianne. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Laura. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new novel, The Stonecatchers. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.